Hey everyone, hey and welcome back to yet another episode of Battle Rap Resume. This is your host Tom Quee. We are here with an event preview, an event that I'm really excited to get into, that being Don't Flop's upcoming Scotland event. They are finally returning up north, and incredible battles that are going to go down there. But before we get into that, please follow the show at Battle Rap Resume. Please email me, battlerapresume@gmail.com. And if you're wondering where those emails go, it's not like that moment in Lost when you find out that all the sort of, I can't remember what the Dharma Initiative were doing exactly, but there were files that they were sending down a tube, and then I remember Sawyer discovers in season 3 they were just going to this huge pile. That isn't what's happening with battlerapresume@gmail.com. They're going straight to me, I'm reading them, and I'm putting them on the Patreon. Battle Resume is on Patreon, and if you want to hear fan service, I know it's so egotistical for me to ask this, but if you want to help support the show, please go on to patreon.com/battlerapresume, and there is a monthly exclusive Patreon show called Resume Review. There are now 2 episodes on there. If you subscribe, it's only £1 a month. If you want to help support the show in any way, you get access to all the bonus content on there. So if you're listening to this in 2018, go on there, you'll get 20 extra episodes and loads of other stuff. Me and my friend Danny, who have done quite a lot of stuff on the show, did a review of 8 Mile in a kind of battle rap context, and there's episode previews and stuff like that. And if you want to help the show as well, please leave us a review on iTunes. That'd be really appreciated. Please subscribe on whatever platform you're on. If you listen to others on YouTube, quite a lot of people comment to me. They ask, Tom, where can I download the podcast? I don't realise that, it's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, it's on Downcast, it's anywhere you want to download it. You can put it on your phone, listen to it on the train, on the toilet, whatever. I just appreciate the downloads. I want to say thank you to everyone that's listening as well. It's been really appreciated. But yeah, Don't Flop are coming back to Scotland, and it felt right that I would have a Scot on. And Jonathan Rimmer, it's great to have you on, bro.
Yeah, cheers for having me, man.
Oh, no, it's good. And I first came across you, I think this was when I was sort of starting the podcast, and I was looking, start of 2016 for kind of avenues of battle rap coverage. And I think you did a couple of interviews on Scotland Stand Up, your kind of website blog. Is that right?
Yes, was it a battle interview or interview of a battler or something?
I think it was, yeah. It might have been Evil, maybe? I can't quite remember.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that was actually quite a while ago. Yeah, right. It's the Evil one, like a freestyle competition up here in Glasgow, and I think one of the it's not really a prize, I suppose. Right. One of the prizes he got was he'd get like a sort of campaign with Scotland Stand Up. I can't remember what it entailed, but we were like, oh yeah, we're going to do this and this. But I think in the end, it's just like we just gave him an interview. I can't remember what else, but yeah.
Yeah. Did you give him his monster hat, or did he win that somewhere else?
I don't know if it was that event he won that, but yeah, he wears that most battles, I've noticed. Yeah.
He does. He actually lost it. I had him on the show. We did an episode, and I think he told me that he lost it at the Rapping at Jack event, which made me sad, because that is like one of the iconic battle rap pieces of clothing,
Yeah, I remember meeting him for the first time, actually. He was exactly how I expected, just this incredibly sort of bouncy dude. Yeah.
Yeah. No, awesome. And Scotland Stand Up, I mean, what is that in terms of, it's a sort of blog, podcast, hip hop for Scotland sort of thing, or?
Yeah, so basically Scotland Stand Up, it wasn't formed by me. It was actually started in 2009 by a guy called Scuba, Stephen Duncan,
Sure.
or DJ Scuba. And he was running it for years. Scotland Stand Up used to be a battle league, believe it or not. You can find us on First Tracker and things like that. With our sort of old logo. And it was kind of the main sort of sort of website covering Scottish hip hop at that time, and we really wanted to sort of promote the scene and all that kind of thing. And I actually started writing for SSU around about 2012, 2013, because Scuba's obviously he's putting a lot of work on it, but he's not really a writer, and he was really looking for sort of journalists, which is sort of my day job. And I've always been a massive hip hop fan. I always wanted to get more involved in the scene, so I just started writing reviews and features and things like that. And then we started doing sort of the podcasts. I was studying abroad for a wee bit, so it kind of was on hold for a while, but more recently, I've recruited some new writers for the new year, and basically, I suppose we're the main sort of source of sort of commentary and critique in Scottish hip hop. I think there's one other guy who does a blog, a guy called Ward, but he doesn't really do reviews very often because he's an MC and promoter. Sure. So I mean, basically, we really want to just promote the scene as much as we can. So I really sort of try and write features and pitch features to magazines, things like that. I do videos for a thing called BBC The Social, which is a sort of enterprise they've just set up in Scotland. So I basically promote hip hop on that. I do a column for Wordplay magazine, basically again just speaking about Scottish MCs and things like that, just anywhere I can recently, basically. And as I say, and it's like-minded people around me that help out with the site who just want to, it's a labour of love. We don't really make money off of it. It's just something we really we do for the love of the scene.
Yeah. No, like Battle Rap Resume,
Yeah, definitely. As I say, I mean,
Patreon. Sorry.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah. I heard. It was one of your podcasts months ago. I don't think I really clocked it was you, and I'm thinking that's a really sick idea. And then more recently, they've been popping up, so I've just gone through and listened to them all. So it's been great to come on.
No, thank you, man. And before we get into the card itself, like you and Battle Rap, like how did you get into it? Where did it start?
Funnily enough, it was years and years ago. It was a friend of mine who's an MC up in Oban, which is where I grew up, and he's on the sort of Glasgow circuit now. But he was really into sort of the sort of WRCs and things. Even before that, actually, Scribble Jam sort of stuff. He showed me sort of Justice v. Thesaurus and stuff, and I just got so into it because at that time I was massively getting into hip hop and just generally, and I was into sort of guys like Sage Francis and Idea and stuff, and I knew that they battled, but I'd never sort of watched them, and I sort of went through these battles, and it was only when I was sort of at university I really clocked on that there was a sort of written scene that had developed, sort of Grind Time, Don't Flop and things like that. And it was in sort of third year of university. I was well into sort of Don't Flop by this point, but I moved in with a guy called Ollie who's done stuff with Don't Flop actually, sort of photos and things like that. But yeah, he was we were just really just equally geeky about it, and I think we used to watch battles most nights, and it was around about that then. I think at this point I was sort of getting involved in Scottish battle events and helping out and stuff like that. So I think I just became very immersed in the scene, and same as yourself, just a bit of a geek basically. Just found I knew all this sort of trivia and knew all these guys from around the world and stuff. But yeah,
and you say you were invested, involved in the battle scene in Scotland. Like, what sort of events? What have you seen live?
Well, basically, I mean, most of the time it's just that I sort of turn up and I do judging or whatever. Sure. So just any way I can sort of help out, whether it's sort of filming or doing podcast interviews or whatever it is. But obviously it's been a very uneven scene the past few years. There's been a few different ones. Like, there's a few folk I'd like, shout out there. There's Kane up at Crown Sound. They've had the league Breaking the Barrier. Yeah. It's been a massively sort of influential thing. In
Mackenzie sort of came out. Yeah.
So Mackenzie, Seuss, Riser, quite a few guys. Evil as well used to battle it. Yeah. Actually came, I suppose, came through that sort of system, as it were, and now they're starting to get a bit of recognition on Don't Flop and other platforms. I mean, there was a few others. I remember sort of Badmouth after Scotland stand-up battles sort of died. I know they started doing stuff, but I know Gasp, his heart, I don't know if his heart was in it, or I'm not really sure. Just the events just kind of got a bit towards the end, just people stopped taking interest, and there wasn't as much interest in doing them. And there's been the odd league that's popped up in Glasgow and Edinburgh at different points, but they only have an event or two and then they sort of die. So I suppose Breaking the Barrier has been the most consistent one the past 2-3 years. Iron Bars as well, Mackenzie's league seems to be doing good stuff. Yeah, I covered actually the first event for that, and that was a really, really good event. It was how it really should be done, and I think it was a higher level of sort of professionalism, and also just the quality of battlers as well. Chris Lees and Koji and a few others came up, and they killed it, and the Scottish guys killed it as well. And I think I'm hoping, I think they've had one more event since then, which I couldn't make, but big up Mackenzie for that.
No, completely. And we'll get into the card itself, John. And we kick off with an interesting battle here. I had to kind of go back through the archives. Scott Earley was someone that I was aware of. I actually was at next in line. I caught him live. God, that guy was fucked. I mean, in the best possible way. I remember I think it was in the Gemini Tox battle. I don't think you see him on camera. He was like stumbling around, like really, like kind of his heavy pendulum of salubrious seriousness, and he's battling Q Riot, who I wasn't aware of. Did a little Google search. He battled Z at Raise the Bar Glasgow, so it's like back in the day. So.
Yeah, so Scott Early, which I think is how you pronounce it. Scott Early. He's been he's done sort of most of the time I've seen him. It's mostly been street battles. So we have sort of these battles in Kelvin Grove Park every summer, and also Bristol battles in Edinburgh, which is a similar kind of thing. And those are really fun because it really kind of takes it back. And he kind of always does really well in that kind of setting because he's very much got that sort of Scottish power and that sort of sense of humour, and I think people up here sort of relate to that. And I've not seen his tryout that he did or whatever it was and Don't Flop yet, but
got released just today actually. So Did you watch it? I was there live, and I recall he did the most impressive closed headbutt I've ever seen. Like he was literally a tenth of an inch away from Topher's head, which made it very impressive. He was good actually, like he was quite drunk to say, but he had great persona, great character, did this kind of quite funny Oasis scheme that ended with him sort of putting his hand behind his back like Noel Gallagher with the glasses and stuff. Like he had character, like, you know, I think he will do well, like you're saying. Next in line, very similar in essence to that kind of outdoor environment, playing off the crowd. Q Riot, I can only go on what I literally, just before we went live, John, I watched Q Riot versus Z. Not bad as well. Like, you know, had a lot of funny lines. This could be a nice opener, I think.
I think they're quite different MCs. I would say that Scott Early, he's got the delivery and the flow and stuff, and he can really perform. But he's got a very sort of strong accent, and I always wonder how maybe it'll work up here, but like down south it perhaps doesn't connect in the same way. Whereas I think Q Riot, he's always been a little bit more accessible. I mean, I was speaking to him quite recently actually, because a guy called Leo, actually Makar, he's actually battled on Dope Flop, who I've done stuff with on Dope Flop. He used to have a video channel, and Q Riot, I remember he did a freestyle or something, and he was the most viewed by a mile, you know, just because he's got that kind of, he knows what people what's gonna sell, as it were. He's not done much in a while, but he understands what fans are looking for. So that's the one thing. I think Scott Early is a great battler, but it'll be interesting to see because I think Q Riot might play the crowd a little bit more and understand perhaps what Don't Flop crowds are a bit more into. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, that'll be definitely an intriguing clash. And Scott Early at the start of his at the start of his battle against Topher says "fuck evil," and which provides a nice segue into evil.
Yeah.
Explicit.
I don't want to talk too much about that because I think it's the typical of the Scottish scene that everyone falls out. But I think there's been a few people have had a bit of issues with. I'm not going to speak out against him because I've always got on with him. But I mean also because I also don't really understand what's happened.
Sure.
From what I understand, I think he owed somebody money or something.
Right.
For a performance, and so there's other people sort of. Perhaps not, maybe in Don't Flop they're not aware of this, but like in the Scottish scene specifically, I've heard sort of other battlers have issues with him because of that, and they've been challenging him and stuff and saying, you know, fucking battle me or whatever it is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea about the personals.
Or fucking pay me as well.
Sure. yeah.
You know, that's probably the priority, but yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Tom interrupting myself here. Just to go over some battles that me and John didn't cover because they weren't officially announced when we recorded the card. We recorded it on the Monday. These got added to the card on the Wednesday. These being Maker versus Brains, Maka versus Brains, and Jay Dillon versus Seuss. So before, you know, a recap back into our chat, you know, it's great to have John on as well, by the way. You know, awesome to have that guy on. Before we get back into the chat, I'll just go over these battles solo just to save a bit of time. So Maker versus Brains. Watch Maka. I keep saying that wrong, don't I? Watch Maka versus Big Hypes literally just now. I had watched it back in the day. Great tryout. Like, Maka's great. Like, really, really good. Like, he's got a lot of... he's very funny, kind of clear. You know, it had like good angle stuff. Like he goes in on big hypes, being a barista, and kind of, you know, plays that for all it's worth. But yeah, I enjoyed his stuff. I mean, he seems in many ways kind of the apotheosis of Brains, who will, you know, elongated segments. Everyone remembers the Conquer Bee. Check out the bar battle where Bard kind of reveals all of Brains' interestingly kind of sordid history. Definitely worth watching that tryout. But Brains always also throws his wallet away. But yeah, so this is the one that I think is a great thing to put on the bottom as well. You know, the whole card is awesome, and I think this is a worthy addition. We also have Seuss, who won the Headhunters thing. I actually think Obi-Joe maybe beat him in that. I haven't watched that back, but I remember my inebriated self thought that, and I kind of said as much to Obi-Joe. But Seuss is dope. Obviously, Seuss was being groomed as the winner from the top, and worthily so. Great that he's battling Jay Dillon. That's a kind of cool matchup. Like, I know the Headhunters thing was kind of like, oh, I'll be on the main stage and get a top-tier opponent or whatever. But, you know, Jay Dillon's that. Like, Jay Dillon's, like, really, really kind of died in the wall, don't flop. Awesome Pedro performance recently. Great to see him resurgent as well. So that'll be an interesting one. Card is magnificent. So let's get back into me and John. Here we are talking about Evil. Evil, I mean, I love Evil. I am a huge fan of Evil's style. Like, I don't know if you saw, I don't know if you're on Viewpoint much, John, but one of the
regular, not so much anymore, but
yeah, one of the regular posters. I know they listen to the show. Shout out Ben Jameson. He posted something basically where he posted a picture, and the caption was, "Didn't know Evil owned his own company," and the picture was of a company entitled WRC Recycling, which got, I mean, you know, rightly got a huge hit on there. Very, very funny. And like, I get that with Evil, it is that kind of endless multi-stream, but I love that kind of stuff. And like, I know a lot of people say, it's a throwback, but it doesn't exist anymore, and it's great to hear it in this modern environment, and Evil does it well. Like, you know, there are certain battles. Yeah, I remember tweeted him versus Goods was the best tryout battle of 2015, which it was. It's a fantastic battle, you know, against Pedro as well. He has some excellent sections against Bobby Rex. I really like Evil, and you know, it's awesome to see him against O'Shea as well. It's a great reward for all the work he's put in.
Man, I think he's sick. Like, I'm really bad. I've spoken to other guys in the scene who perhaps they're more into the written sort of style, and they're like, oh no, he's a bit sort of overly reliant on freestyles and multis and stuff like that. But like, I remember chatting to him actually when I interviewed him years ago. He talked about Rhyme Asylum for about 15 minutes straight.
In multis.
Like, you can really hear Possessed in his style.
Oh yeah.
But like, I mean, I as I say, I'm quite into that sort of style. Maybe not all the time. I understand he's an acquired taste, and perhaps there's certain guys that his style probably just won't do as well against. But so it'll be interesting to see him against O'Shea. I actually think O'Shea's a good battle for him, just because O'Shea does have that sort of at times semi-coherent, you know, drunken sort of rambling style.
Drunken master,
and he's funny as hell, you know. And Evil does that as well. He's a bit more sort of technical, perhaps, and he doesn't punch as much as O'Shea does. But I actually think it'll be a really fun battle to watch, because they'll clash in probably in a good way, I'd say.
Yeah, I think Evil rises to challenges, like with the Pedro battle. You know, he was clearly overjoyed that it was going down, and he gave an excellent performance. I think that O'Shea won as well. It's interesting with O'Shea. O'Shea, you know, has a fire in his stomach at this point. I was there at Revival 7, which was, you know, it was a damp squib of an event. Everyone that's there will kind of agree, you know, and one of the biggest letdowns, although I didn't think it was too much of a letdown on O'Shea's part, was O'Shea versus Bobby Rex. And I went back through Viewpoint today, because I remembered that O'Shea posted a status where he mentioned Evil, and this is the status, I quote, just watch me versus Bobby Rex. I think we were both very substandard and need a rematch next year after a bit of a break when we're both a lot fresher. I lost my job last year, so took as many battles as I could on several different platforms just to do something, basically. Then got a new job, which seriously affected my prep time for the amount of battles I took. I was literally going from week to week, preparing 3 rounds with different opponents. I scraped through a lot of them, not coming across too bad because I'm a G, but none of that this year. My God, Evil is in trouble.
that's really funny, actually.
I know. It's great. You can almost hear it in O'Shea's voice as well, rather than this garbled brumming. But yeah, I mean, good God, I think Evil's going to be bringing his A game. O'Shea clearly is got this fire. I can see Evil kind of being a conduit for Scotland in O'Shea's rhymes. You know what I mean? Like, but I think that's going to go down really well, because who the fuck doesn't love O'Shea?
Well, it's interesting because my dad's family's from Liverpool, and
Right.
I'm a huge Liverpool fan. So I mean, I've always had a real connection with that city and stuff. And one thing I've always found is that maybe less so with Edinburgh than where Evil's from, but Glasgow in particular, and just sort of Scotland in general, is Scousers and Scots have a very similar sense of humour, and tend to. I can't necessarily speak for every Scottish battler. Like, I know Sol's not nearly the same as O'Shea, but you'll find a lot of Scottish battlers relate to the sort of humour like O'Shea comes out with. It's very joke based, and a lot of the scene up here, which has changed a little bit in the past sort of year or two. But historically, guys sort of like Wee D and quite a few others, they're definitely massively influenced by O'Shea. And I don't know if he's battled in Scotland, O'Shea, before, but he'll definitely go down well here, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It's a great card. Like, it's a really good card. Like, obviously, this is kind of the first marquee sort of battle that we're going to get into. But yeah, I think Evil deserves it, as we say. O'Shea. Yeah, maybe a little bit too hard on yourself, O'Shea, because you have had a really good year, to be honest. The one performance as well was really good, but cannot wait to see this one. And I've done Battle Rap Resume episodes with both of those guys, so definitely check those episodes out as well. But
the O'Shea one's it's dope, man.
Yeah. No. Gonna have him on back again. I mean, I've said it, and I actually asked him on Facebook about a month ago, and he said he was down, but I just need to get my schedule right. But O'Shea just hit me up, was like, let's just do an episode where we talk about the best battles that I've seen live. We don't talk about my battles. Obviously, O'Shea's been in the background of like hundreds of classics as well as being in them themselves. But we'll push on, John. Another crazy battle. So cool to see Respect BA coming back, and so cool to see that he's coming against Tony D.
Yeah, man, I wasn't quite as shocked as some people, because he was at the Iron Bars event, and I remember him telling a few of us, he was like, oh yeah, you might see me again, like, and we were all just saying, oh yeah, you've got to do it. I think he's Respect's not really a guy I don't see him at shows and battles very often. Like, I don't see him sort of on the scene that much, but everybody knows who he is and respects him. And also, by the way, his music is crazy. I don't know if people have checked out Respect BA's music, but he's like an absolute legend up here. Like, honestly, some of the stuff is incredible. Some of the greatest, in my opinion, hip-hop made in the UK ever. Like, I rate him that highly.
Are there any tapes or albums you'd recommend for people to begin with, or?
I would say just get all of it. Honestly, to be honest, he's been very, very prolific. So I always mix up his stuff. He had an album dropped in 2011. It's been about 4 or 5 years since I've listened to it, and the name's completely slipped my mind. Sure. It's a really, really good album, and it's like properly professionally made. I think if there's one criticism I hear of a lot of Scottish hip hop, is that it's perhaps, we don't have necessarily have the professionalism up here, and the sort of even the resources. I think that's perhaps lacking, and that's something I really want to see rectified. But he always put a lot of effort and time into his music, so yeah, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, and they're both, incredibly respected guys in the league. Respect BA goes all the way back to Jump Off. I mean, forget BA. Tony goes all the way back to BC. He's been around forever, and been killing it nonstop. Tony had an incredible 2016. Like, resume was just insane, and the fact that he's kicking 2017 off by taking on a true legend. The Scottish crowd here are really being treated to the spoils. Like, this is going to be a killer card. Both of them are fantastic writers, great on their feet, great characters. I can't wait to see them duel.
I think that album's Wasteland or something. Wasteland of something. That's just popped into my head.
No.
But that battle is going to be crazy. It'll be interesting, because I think Respect, even though he's amazing with his punchlines, and he's always, in terms of delivery and everything, he's always sounded sick whenever he raps. It'll be interesting in watching him v Tony, because Tony, like, my mind is, in terms of writing, just a level above almost everybody in Dope Flop. He's just incredible. Like, I think I met him at an event once. I think I fanboyed him so hard, actually. It's like, I was just like, dude, you're so good. he was absolutely stoned at the time, right enough. But yeah, no, I think it'll be an interesting battle because he's. I think Tony, in terms of the number of punches he comes with, he's got such a slick style. It's just like punch, 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 punch. Whereas Respect BA, he'll probably be a bit more aggressive. I have no idea what sort of angle he'll take. Because it's been so long since he's been on Don't Flop, and I know his last battle was a bit controversial because he wasn't very happy with, I think, how he was being treated or whatever.
Yeah, it was Wasteland of the Free, by the way. I just double checked that.
That rings a bell.
Yeah. That was his album, and
I think that's the one you can get on iTunes, and that's got some sick tunes on it.
Yeah, and I want to urge people to go back if they want to check out some Respect BA. Obviously, the Immaculate is a brilliant performance. He battled Joker Star actually on Badmouth Battles. That's a really good one as well.
I forgot he battled Ilmac actually.
And he teamed up with Stig of the Dump on the Jump Off, and he battled Archaic and Koolez, which is a fantastic battle. Really, really urge people to check that one out as well. But we'll get to the top of the card. Insane battle. Of course, you've got to have Soul, the champ, in front of his home crowd, and against Real Deal, like quite a left field matchup that kind of makes all the sense, John.
Yeah, I mean, again, probably a bias thing. I think Soul will win that, actually. I think in terms of the last couple of years, his writing has really gone up a notch. And again, he's a guy I don't see him at events much in Scotland, really. He doesn't really come to battle events or gigs. He doesn't make music. So, but people still speak very highly of him, and I know for a fact guys like Evil and Seuss, who obviously I don't know if I can give that away, who just battled in Headhunters. He was heavily influenced by Soul style. I think JR the Juggernaut is another guy who, a few guys coming through in the past couple of years, like you say to them, who's your biggest influence? A few years ago, I think these guys would have been like, American guys like Ilmac the Saurus or URL guy, whereas now they're like, Soul, definitely Soul, the way he writes and puts stuff together and his multis and his schemes and stuff. I do think Real Deal is always, it's like Ogmios says in his battles, and he's a solid battler. He's always he always consistent,
reliable.
But I think Soul's just as consistent. There's very few battles, apart from maybe the Caustic one, where he's kind of flopped recently. Every other battle, I think he's been sick. So I reckon, just for the sheer amount of punches and also the level of writing he comes with, I think he'll take that. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I am a huge Soul fan. Against Kraft, I gush so hard that I compared Soul to the Imperion, which is the William Blake idea of kind of the heaven above heaven, kind of above top tier. Like, in my eyes, he's the complete battler. Like really, like there's not anything really he can't do, and he does it better than most. He has writing, like it's kind of like, those albums that you love, and the reason really that you love them deep down is because they just hit you harder. They do something to you. They make you feel a certain way in a more complex way, and that's how Soul's bars, that's what his writing does for me.
For sure.
I just find it invigorating to listen to. I find it so exciting and compelling, and Real Deal's great. Sturdy Trevor, he finds angles, he's the teacher guy, he's the sports guy. It's fine, and maybe I'm being a little bit blasphemous. I know a lot of people respect Real Deal, and he does good work. His recent performance against A-Ward on King of the Dot, I actually thought A-Ward won that, but that was still really, really good. Like, he's great, he's a vet, no doubt, but I see Soul taking a scalp here. Like, there's kind of too much to Soul to get into with the kind of teacher smack angles and stuff like that. And Real Deal, he's the angler again. There's certain avenues he can explore, but Soul's just on this run right now that he's just...
It depends, because for me, like, Real Deal, the Real Deal who faced like B Magic could be like almost anybody. I think his best performances have actually been on URL. I always thought, I think when he actually, because he obviously put a lot of effort into those battles, and I don't know if he'll come with that, because I remember his battle against Ogmios was good, but I think his rounds were kind of short, and I think he probably got edged out. But if he really puts an effort into his battle, like, and as I say, if Soul has an off day or something, or if Real Deal just gets an angle that just really works, you never know. But I think, again, Real Dude's music actually is pretty good.
Right.
Speaking of music, I don't know if anyone's heard it. But.
Right, no, I need to check that out. Yeah, but yeah, this is a great showing, and Real Deal is great, and he's been great on the Don't Flop stage. Actually, he's given a lot of good performances for Don't Flop over the years, and going against Soul is a great opportunity for him. I'm sure he's going to relish it, but I'm sure there's also going to be more battles announced. But I thought it'd make sense for us to get into these, early on, because it's just going to be a crazy. Are you going to be there, John?
Yeah, man. I'm going to be doing some filming at it. Well, I'm hoping to anyway.
Wow, yeah.
Basically, I'm doing another short for BBC Scotland. Basically, just covering the sort of battle scene up here. I think as well, I covered the sort of King of the Ronalds event a few weeks ago, actually. Which was a fun event, actually. It's not really usually my thing, right. King of the Ronalds, but it was pretty cool. And yeah, I think battle rap in Scotland is on the rise, and I think more people are taking an interest in it. Scottish hip hop as a whole, as well. I mean, if I think about submissions we got couple of years ago compared to what we get now, and also opportunities we get to talk about it on radio, or the opportunity, especially the opportunities MCs get as well. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Scottish scene. Like, are you into much stuff up here?
I mean, musically, no. In terms of battling, of course, but I'm a bit ignorant, I suppose, to the music scene. To be honest with you.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I suppose guys I would really shout out. I mean, there's a few names I think probably people know from battling is. I mean, I think Loki in particular, in terms of his battles are okay, but like in terms of music, he's absolutely incredible. Just the level of wit and his the way he puts his songwriting is excellent. I would also say, yeah, Gasp stuff. He's not really done stuff with Depths for a while, but he's great. Silver Tongue stuff. He used to battle on Don't Flop. He had a mixtape called Black Sheep, came out last year, which was really, really good. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I suppose that a lot of the guys that people will recognise are people who've battled, like Louis, who obviously did stuff with Hector Berserk, who got a bit of attention up here. They have a real cult fan base, and they broke up recently, but they sold out shows, and obviously it's interesting because I'm not sure that a lot of this stuff gets played down south, but like guys like Stanley Odd as well, who are a group who went viral during the Scottish independence referendum, and then Young Fallows as well. Obviously, I think people know a bit better, but there's a lot of these guys who they've obviously not made that translation down south, probably just because it's a lot of money to to tour and all the rest of it. But within the Scottish scene, they've really made a huge impact within the mainstream, and I've noticed in the past sort of year as well, like newspapers up here even featuring hip hop. I mean, and obviously now we have a grime MC in Shogun who's hit 1 million views in the past few weeks. So yeah, I think there's a lot of talent up here, and people are starting to really give us the scene the respect and the attention it really deserves. Because, for my mind, in Glasgow, and Edinburgh as well, it's music that really speaks up for the working classes here. And these people, they rap in their own accents. They're not fake. They're not putting on American accents. They're speaking in Scottish accents, and it speaks to Scottish people. And so yeah, I think it's really on the up. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's more Shoguns on the way, people going viral and all the rest of it and touring. So yeah.
Excellent, man. And I guess finally, to wrap it up, where can people find your writings, your Twitter and all that sort of stuff?
So you can follow me on Twitter at Rimmerjourno, so RIMMERJOURNO. It's a pretty distinctive name. I don't think I could battle, to be quite honest. I think I'd get torn to shreds with my name. But yeah, you can follow my stuff on Twitter. I've got a portfolio up of all my work. It's at jonathanrimmer.contently.com. So that's contently.com. So yeah, I've written about hip hop sort of for the Skinny, for Clash magazine, stuff like that. I've got a column in Wordplay you can read. I'm actually doing a piece just now on there's five Scottish battlers people should check out, sort of thing, if people aren't really familiar with it.
Who are your five?
You'll have to wait and see, man.
Oh, right, yeah,
I don't want to give it away too much.
Okay.
But yeah,
is one of them Scott Early?
Yeah.
Okay. Number one.
There's a few other people I sort of mentioned in there as well.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, as I say, I've written for I've tried to write for. I think I wrote for Don't Flop once or something like that, actually, years ago when the blog was going, and sort of UKHH and stuff like that. But the main thing for me is it's not so much, working as a journalist in Scotland. The money is not necessarily in hip hop most of the time. It's something I kind of do in my spare time, probably as much as yourself, man. Like, it's a labour of love, really, promoting the scene and chatting about hip hop. So, yeah, as I say, if you want to read my stuff on Scottish hip hop or anything else I ramble shite about, then as I say, that's where you can get me.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. Thank you. This has been great, and we'll have to have you back on after the event to give us a little recap or something. That'd be great.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, obviously, please follow SSU Media on Twitter. That's Scotland Stand Up. Scotland Stand Up on Twitter. That's Scotland and Stand Up are 2 words. When we first set it up, actually, it was supposed to sound like, Scotland Stand Up, you know what I mean? But people seem to think it's a comedy website or something.
Slightly unfortunate, yeah.
But no, in the new year, as I say, we're going to be covering more battle events, reviewing more stuff. We've got new writers and stuff. If any guys in Scotland or anybody really wants to hook up or do a podcast or submit some music or whatever it is, just all the information's on those pages, so just hit me up. But yeah.
And I should finally say, don'tflop.com/tickets. Please go to this event. It's on Saturday the 28th. I don't think they've announced a actual venue yet, but it's in Edinburgh, which my Fringe experience has taught me anything. It's not that big, is it, Edinburgh as a place? So it's kind of like, it's not necessarily like the...
Yeah, I think it's a bit more difficult to find your way about than Glasgow, because Glasgow's just kind of streets and shit, whereas Edinburgh's all curvy and places lead up to nowhere. So I mean,
it's beautiful, man. So
Google map that shit.
Yeah.
Big up Don't Flop, man. It looks like a really good event.
It does. But John, thanks so much, man. This has been really good.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, man.